SuperK has raised 100 crore rupees.
Every once in a while, you come across a business that is so fascinating that you just have to go see it for yourself. I was scrolling Twitter one day and came across a company that I had never even heard of. They had just raised 100 crores to build supermarkets, but for small town Andhra. That really got me curious. So I dropped a message to the founder, but honestly, I did not think I would even get a response. But then he got back. One thing led to the other, and 3 weeks later, I was on a flight to Hyderabad with a small crew hoping to understand what they're building and tell their story. Now, I haven't made a lot of videos before, and neither has Anil, one of SuperK's co-founders, but here we are. Not exactly in Hyderabad, but in Kadapa. 3 hours and 40 minutes outside of Tirupati, and pretty far from where you would expect India's next big retail experiment to be happening. Hi Anil.
Hello Tanvi. Finally, good to meet you.
Thank you so much for having us here. Oh, sorry, you had to wait. I'm
no
so
worries,
sorry
no
about
worries.
that.
No.
Yeah, it's our first time in Andhra. The team is very excited.
Small town India, we believe that there's a lot of opportunity. It feels like a green pasture for us where many people don't concentrate. Many people think that there is money or there's opportunity only in the large towns and or cities, and they leave such places for unorganized players to operate.
When you think of retail in India, you instantly think of D-Mart, Reliance, Big Bazaar, and lately Blinkit, Zomato, and Zepto. But 80% of India's retail happens outside of the metros, and a lot of that is unorganized. Most of it, as you know, is run by Kiranas, which are hyper-local, family-run, one-shop gambles built on trust. But they are often messy, stock is limited, and quality isn't really a thing. And as Indian families become more aspirational, more picky, and more consuming, maybe there is a gap for more here. So I asked Anil, SuperK's co-founder, why he decided to start in Kadapa, a district that nobody outside of a 5-mile radius could find on a map.
Kadapa as a town and as a district, it has been slightly backward in terms of economic progress, and we felt that this could be the right place for us to start a value-focused retailing business. When you talk about small town India, right, there's a lot of element of trust that comes into the play. If we don't speak the local language, then it will be very hard for us to build trust with the audience, other consumers, or anyone that we are talking to.
This is how a SuperK store works. The average store is about 500 to 600 square feet in size. The company has 130 stores, mostly in Andhra. Stores are run by franchise partners, which is basically a local guy well known in the community and runs it like his own business. SuperK supplies all of the products, runs the distribution network, and handles the logistics. There's also a membership program. There's private label brands and pretty much of what you'd see in a large urban grocery store.
When you are building for an audience who you are not a customer, I think you should be very open to being wrong all the time. When we started SuperK, we said that we will mimic what the other world has done and told that we would only stack few SKUs, we will give them great prices. And we thought that if customer doesn't find a few products, let them go out and then buy something else at a different place. But it was a slap on our face.
Anil makes a very simple but important point here. In fact, when SuperK started, they thought they could run with a lean assortment with just a few SKUs and with bigger discounts. But the customers absolutely hated it. Because for small town shoppers, it wasn't just about saving money. It was about respect. The idea that you can finish your shopping in one store without feeling like a second-class customer.
The first few weeks itself, we had customers walking in and then leaving their baskets and going away. And when we asked them why they were leaving, they said, do you want me to be perceived as a discount hunter? Because I can only buy 6 or 7 items from here and 3 items from somewhere else. Then the retailer or someone over there would feel that, you have bought something at a different place and come to me. So over here, pride matters. Making them feel that they are part of something bigger, and giving them respect matters in these small towns.
But here's something most people don't notice. Rural disposable income has actually been growing faster than urban income for many, many years. Which means small towns aren't just value hunters anymore. They are aspirational too. And aspirations may mean something else for them, but they are modernizing and looking for premium experiences on their own terms.
In our research, in our journey, we believed and we came to the understanding and conclusion that small town India is also becoming more and more aspirational. There are many brands which I believe that are only focusing on the tier 1 India, but this is an extremely huge market. This is almost like 600 million people that we are talking about, right? So no one is actually building for such audience. If you imagine that you can build something in the cities and then replicate in the small towns, I think you would be at least 70% wrong. 30% of it what could be replicable, but not the 70%. This audience is different.
D-Marts run massive 30,000 square foot stores. Customers make planned trips, usually on the outskirts of the city. Kirana stores are tiny but convenient, close to home, but not exactly modern. So where exactly does SuperK fit in?
A D-Mart is a very large store. SuperK is a smaller format of store. We can have the same walking experience. The tech would be very differentiating factor between us and the D-Mart. And when it comes to pricing, the way that D-Mart prices products and the way that we price products would be slightly different. And the assortment that D-Mart carries, because they have a 50,000 square feet store, the kind of assortment that they can carry would be very different from what we carry. Very essential staples that are mattering for the local taste of the audience is something that so we would be different in terms of assortment for the customers. You would not need to get a body massage to get your shopping experience done. Imagine when you are doing a checkout at D-Mart and someone tells you, sir, why don't you try one more product? There's no way that you're going into the store again to get some other different product. But at a SuperK store, it's actually quick. We are giving an offline touch point for many customers. Now, you can imagine that why would someone not buy a TV or a fridge or let's say some footwear from an Amazon or a Flipkart, but why are they buying it from SuperK? We also thought the same way. And we realized that for a customer in these small towns, trust is very important. And an offline touch point gives them a lot of comfort. Because when we called up customers and asked them, why did you buy a footwear product from us and not from someone else? They said, sir, I come to this store almost weekly once or twice. Now, if something goes wrong with my footwear or a product that I'm buying, I can catch hold of this franchisee partner over here and ask him, कि मेरे पैसा किधर है, मेरे को बताओ. And we ran a very interesting experiment with this brand Wakefit. We sold Wakefit mattresses in a very decent quantum. And once we talked to those customers why they were buying it from us rather than a Wakefit website itself, they said they placed an order with us because Wakefit gives you a 100 days free trial. Now, the brand definitely lives up to its promise and then delivers it to the customer. But the customer in his head still feels, what if after 120 days they don't take it back? What happens to my money? But they said, sir, now that there is a store here, because this guy has told me to buy this Wakefit mattress, I can come and catch hold of it. So all your general trade, stories that exist is imbibed into the system of SuperK, giving them that warmth and convenience of a Kirana store, but the experience of value and the assortment of a modern trade player.
You spoke about 3 different markets here. That's your general trade, which is the mom and pop stores, the Kirana stores, the modern trade, which is Reliance Retail, your big bazaars, and Q-commerce. Where does SuperK fit into all of this? And are you competing with these big giants?
I think SuperK is in a very nice spot when it comes to all the 3 segments that exist today. The way that we present it or the way that we understand the business is that we operate as a modern trade player with the cost structure of a general trade player because we have franchises who run the business. So like your mom and pop retailers, there's an uncle or your neighborhood auntie or bhaiya who is running that store for you. So that's where the essence of a general trade still exists in our business, but the organized supply that we have built, the supply chain that we have built, the tech that we have built is all your modern trade that comes into play. The walk-in format of stores, the printed bill that you get, this is all modern trade for you. We are inherently a convenient location or a convenient store because you can find our stores within 500, 600 meters of your home.
We are at the packaging unit,
Yeah.
so we'd love to see around.
Yep, I'll walk you through, how the process entirely starts
Yes, of
itself.
course, yeah.
So maybe we can just move here.
To understand SuperK's magic, you have to step inside its warehouse in Kadapa. This is the backbone, where rice, pulses, and staples are cleaned, packed, and shipped to stores under their own labels.
No, there are many FMCG companies in this country, but when it comes to staples, the daily essentials that people use to make their dals or their upma or any of these things, there are not many great brands which strive for value in this entire segment. So when we started interacting with a few players who were into this business, we realized that their prices were exorbitantly high. Let's say as simple as a branded tuar dal would be out of the reach of an customer over here. If a branded tuar dal in comparison to a loose tuar dal which gets sold in this market, a loose tuar dal, for example, let's say it was at 105 rupees back then, a branded tuar dal would have costed the customer around 180, 190 rupees. And that's when we started thinking how we can deliver value to the customer by giving better quality. And that was the genesis of building a packaging unit for us, where we brought in the raw material, then we cleaned it, processed it, packed it into smaller packets and gave it away to customers.
Private labels are what make this model tick. They give SuperK pricing power and credibility. And in small towns, packaging itself signals pride. For customers, that means cleaner packaging and affordable prices. For franchises, it means higher margins and predictable supply.
One is SuperK itself. The second one is called Trupti, which is more affordable for the customers, and a premium version called Aha by SuperK. This is all the labels that you are seeing over here, and the packed inventory is over here. And this is where all the technology comes into play. So they are running an ERP system in which they know exactly what inventory is coming in, how much of that inventory is now to be packed. There's an algorithm that runs saying that this is the inventory that you need to be packing, or this SKU is what should be packed at this moment, because it is calculated based on the demand at the stores as well. So everything is all interconnected through technology, and the processing, everything happens to the machinery over here.
Look at the global picture. In the US, Costco's Kirkland brand makes up nearly 40% of sales. In Europe, Aldi and Lidl take it even further with over 50%. In India, it's still in the single digits. That means the upside here is huge.
As we can see, this is a SuperK branded product. So it's also packed into smaller units. So yeah, you can just check it. So this is a freshly processed fried gram that we are talking about, one of the fastest selling SKUs at our stores. And the packets are again packed into smaller quantums, maybe like a 15 kgs, which is what someone can pick up easily. So if it is like a 50 kg, then again picking up would be a challenging. So we make sure that in the entire supply chain flow, how we cannot add more weight, the tech or the costs are built in such a manner that everywhere, every process is optimized in the entire system itself. So in this package here, you see, on the back end, it is all the retails that are there, when the product is going to expire, what the MRP of the product is, how we have cleaned and packed this process, all the steps around it. So this is all the packets which go into the homes of the customers. Whenever we went into the homes of families, we have seen them putting these covers slightly near their dining tables, where they're signaling to other people that, we don't now bring loose staples.
Franchising in India is not new, but most large retailers still run on company-owned stores, treating franchising as an afterthought. Anil stresses that for a startup like SuperK to grow, the franchising model is extremely important. Local entrepreneurs invest, run the store, and share revenue. For them, it's a predictable income stream. That's what allows them to scale into smaller towns where big box economics don't really work. For SuperK, it's a rapid expansion without burning billions.
A small entity, or let's say a startup like SuperK, to be successful, we believe that franchising as a model to penetrate in the smaller towns of India is very, very important. At the core of it, we believe that we are a franchisee business. So we ensure that the retailer or the store partner is in center of all the conversations that we make, and we build a business in accordance and in the reality that this guy is going to be an integral part of the system. which is not what any other retailer in this country has ever thought, or any other franchising as a business, because everyone have been doing franchising as a lip service by running company operated, company owned outlets and saying that, I'll franchise some more. But because the core of it, we are franchisee, so we built certain nuances into the business. We understand that these franchises want to have some autonomy and also want to feel that they are part of a decision making process. They have certain boundaries which the tech has put up, but they still feel that they are in control. The retailers are at the core of this business. They are in the center, they're the heart of it. So it's like Uber thinking about their drivers, or we think about our franchises. At the core of it, we are still a B2C company, with the retailer being a means to serve the end customer that we are talking about.
But even once the stores were running, the real test came during COVID.
पूरे देश में आज रात 12 बजे से संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है.
And for a small town that runs on trust, COVID was the ultimate stress test. Supply chains froze, checkpoints closed. SuperK ran 3 a.m. Mandi runs, crossed barricades, and paid suppliers before the due dates. In small towns, things like that are not forgotten. It built a solid reputation. And for many, that's when SuperK became the paymaster they could actually rely on.
Now, COVID was a time, unfortunately, where everyone was, charging people higher than MRP, or they were not giving any discounts, or they all were only trying for availability of SKUs. But we, on the other hand, because we had built an interesting tech stack by then with work that we did, and also for the consumers, we were still able to give better discounts. Mm-hmm. And people felt like we were paymasters for them, because they were not sure what is going to happen if they were giving credit to anyone. Mm-hmm. And SuperK, fortunately, was able to give them comfort that the money would hit their bank immediately. So the comfort that people were able to build with SuperK, be it the supplier network or the consumers, because we were giving them offers. Mm-hmm. We were still giving them discounts on products, and we were ensuring that there was availability. Navigating through all of that built a lot of trust, one in the supplier network and two from the consumer lens. That goodness that we were able to accumulate or gather in that time frame of 3-4 months when the COVID lockdown was there with the stringent timelines, it gave us way for launching many more stores.
Running 130 small stores across dozens of towns sounds messy, but the glue here is tech. SuperK built its own POS and loyalty system.
In this entire country, we always think about savings as a culture. We help, any POS company tells you that we will help you save some inventory, we'll help you save or get you some data, save some customer information, or any of those things. But no one thinks about how can you leverage tech to upsell, cross-sell products to an end customer. And the way that we have built the tech also is that in the form factor of a mobile device itself, so that we don't have any large screens at our store. The small handheld POS device in which people swipe their cards is what is used for billing at our stores. And that makes the franchisee partners or anyone have a very, very limited or less threshold that they would have to breach to adapt to a new technology. And this makes that a very lovable product for the store partners, makes their life extremely easy and easy for billing any products, and all the inventory sits on that same device. So it feels like a magic wand in a store partner's hands.
Every time a customer shops, their purchases get saved under their membership ID. So the next time they walk in, the POS system remembers exactly what they bought last time. At checkout, the cashier gets a little nudge. Buy this, add that, based on that history. If that sells, the cashier earns a small incentive. And that data flows straight back into SuperK's central system.
At your checkout counter, what we do is that because we have your purchase history, we understand who you are as a customer. Are you a green tea customer, or are you a mass premium tea customer? Basis on that, we recommend or we think that you can appreciate certain products. So that recommendation comes handy. The data, the algorithm, everything comes in. Once your phone number is punched on the POS machine that we have built, then the retailer gets a pop-up. इस मैडम को आप ये product recommend करो and you get 5 rupees off. As a customer, and the retailer gets 5 rupees or 10 rupees incentive for making that purchase. So it's an interesting blend of technology, convenience, and the store partner, which is making the customer feel that this is an elevated experience in their shopping journey. We have picked up the best of all these worlds and we have built something called as a SuperK, a new way of transforming the grocery retail experience for a small town customer.
As we walked through and kept talking, Anil referred to SuperK as the Costco of Bharat. If you haven't heard of Costco, it is a $800 billion retail giant in the US which feeds American families. They sell everything including food, TVs, alcohol and clothes. And it all runs on membership. Can SuperK do that?
So if you look at Costco as a business, right, they have two very important things. One is their membership program where they are targeting customers. And the second one is their entire private label strategy. They're very, very precise on their assortment that they maintain in the stores because it is all about delivering the right value to the customer. So similarly, even at SuperK, membership is the core with which we bind the customers into the SuperK ecosystem. And because of the trust on the brand, we introduce them private labels. Similar to a Costco, how they have made customers accustomed to their private label was by sampling. Whenever we launch any new product, we give the customers a sample of those products. The customer is binded with a membership program. The private labels drive more value to the end customers. And the sampling is what you make the customers try these products, and you're very precise and you're focused on value. If I were to break down the Costco per Bharat, that's how we are doing this.
In 2024, SuperK raised over 100 crores from Binny Bansal, Bloom Ventures, Mithun Sacheti, and even cricketer Shubman Gill. For a small town retail experiment, that is extremely rare. Big money usually goes to flashy metro startups or tech-first plays. But these investors are betting on the bigger trend. Over 118 million new investors have joined Indian markets in the last decade. Household savings are shifting from gold and property to financial and consumer assets. And grocery consumption is only rising as incomes grow. So we asked Anil how is SuperK planning to use that firepower.
First of all, I think a huge round of thanks to all my investors who have believed in us and backed us with the capital that we just talked about, 100 CR round. So even till date, we have not invested a lot of money into marketing or brand building exercise. So this money that we have raised is now for building a brand, for marketing who we are, talking about what SuperK is, for the franchises, for the customers and everyone to know about what SuperK is. And also the interesting pieces of tech that we were just talking about, scaling this from the 130 stores that we have today in the Rayalaseema region of Andhra Pradesh to around 500 stores in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh as well, in some other parts of Andhra Pradesh. So all the money is going, I don't think I would put like every dollar into it, but yeah, most of it would be into hiring a good team who can build such a large business that we envision to be building from where we are today.
Of course, it's not all smooth. Logistics are tricky, brand awareness is still low, and convincing investors to bet on Bharat is harder than convincing them to bet on metros. And global giants like Amazon and Reliance are also circling the same market. What is one product that you're looking forward to including in your inventory?
At the moment, I'm quite excited about the bakery segment that we are going to launch at our stores. In these small towns, many people, the kind of bread that they consume is not of great quality. So we are partnering with someone and trying to introduce a SuperK labeled bread, buns, cupcakes, cookies in these stores. I'm really looking forward and excited for that.
So where does SuperK go from here? For now, it's about going deeper and scaling the model. But the bigger bet is this. India's retail future won't just be written in Gurgaon or Mumbai. It might just come from towns like Kadapa. Because in Bharat, groceries aren't just about margins. They are about trust, pride, and giving small town families the same modern retail experience as anyone else. This is New India. Bold ideas, unseen gaps, fearless entrepreneurs. This is business.